anybody hear a plane in all this?
I'm not sure, but I thought...
Are you all right?
Fine, fine.
We did it!
Mom, I think it stopped. It has. It's them. I can't see the plane, but I can hear it. Come on, girls, get something warm to put on.
You know, you're something else.
You're not so bad yourself.
Remember when I indicated for us to go down?
Uh-huh.
Oh, was I glad you said no.
Why?
No place to land.
Steve! Betty Joe! Oh, Betty Joe, you're all right. Oh, Steve, were you scared?
Did you know what you were letting yourself in for?
I knew you'd make it. The Carson Elliott Airways always comes through.
Well, what are we all standing here for? Let's go up to the shady rest and you can tell us all about it.
Gosh, Steve, what was the first thing you thought of when the storm hit?
The first thing? Well, I said to myself, I never knew it to fail. You get a worse job and right away it starts raining.
There's a pilot for you, laughing in the face of danger.
On the outside. Inside, I was crying like a baby.
Oh, Steve.
And what about you, Betty Jo? Well, wasn't what happened tonight just about the most exciting thing that ever happened to you?
Well, don't worry about the shortstop. She was terrific. And I told her so the moment we landed.
And then did you kiss the ground?
No, but that might not have been a bad idea.
Betty Joe, you're awfully quiet. Do you feel all right?
I'm okay, Mom.
Yeah, but you had a kind of a trying day. Maybe you just better get upstairs and get to bed, huh?
Whatever you say. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Good night,
Betty
Betty
Jo.
Jo. Good night, Steve.
Good night, Betty Joe.
Mom, do you have to go right now? I mean, do you have time for talk?
Well, always have time for that, honey.
I've got a problem.
I kind of thought you did. What is it?
Well, it concerns Steve and me.
What about Steve and you?
We're in love.
You're...
Oh, I know. You're just as surprised and shocked as I was. I mean, Steve being Billy Joe's boyfriend and all, but we couldn't help it. It just happened.
Wait a minute. Let's back up a little. When did it happen? Before you went to Springdale?
No,
On the way back?
I guess so. All I know is that when we landed, he took me in his arms and kissed me.
Well, that's an emotional reaction. You know, making it through the storm and all. Why, you were glad to be on the ground.
I don't think it was a glad to be on the ground kiss. Oh, maybe it started out that way, but then... Oh, Mom, I never felt that way before in my whole life. Nobody ever did.
Well, sweetheart, it isn't that unique. Wonderful, maybe, but not unique.
You mean it always happens like that? Bing, like that?
No, it doesn't always happen that way. But we're not entirely sure it happened.
Mom, you don't know how I feel.
What about Steve? How does he feel?
The same.
Did he say he did?
Well, no, but... I can tell.
Good morning, Mrs. Bradley.
Hi, Steve.
Could I have a talk with you?
Well, of course. What is it?
Well, I've got a problem.
Oh?
What would you say if I told you I was in love with your daughter?
Well, I don't know, Steve. I guess I wouldn't be too surprised. After all, you and Billy Joe have been going steady for some time, and it's not Billy Joe.
No, it isn't.
Bobby Joe? I'm running out of daughters.
It's Betty Joe.
That's the one that's left, all right. Are you sure?
Oh, am I sure? You see, well, something happened last night.
I know.
You do?
Yes, Betty Joe told me. But I'd like to hear your version. How did it happen?
Well, I don't really know myself. I guess it'd been building up for a long time, and I didn't know it. All I know is when we were in that storm, all I could think of was what a fool I was to get Betty Jo into such a spot, and what a terrific girl she was to come through the way she did. And then, when we landed, I sort of kissed her, and boom! It was like every light in the whole world flashed on.
You sure it wasn't the excitement of the moment?
Believe me, Mrs. Bradley, I tried to think that. I went to bed last night telling myself I'd wake up feeling differently. And here I am, about as hung up on a girl as a guy can be.
Would you hold off declaring yourself? Think you could do that?
Sure I could. And Mrs. Bradley, you know I didn't set out to cause anything like this, don't you? It just happened.
You know that little talk we had this morning? Well, I think everything's going to work out just fine.
No kidding? Well, where's Betty Jo?
She's upstairs. It's to be right down.
Betty Jo? Steve is here. Coming, Mom. Here. When it stops raining, bury this somewhere near the plane. What's the matter? Haven't you ever seen a distributor cap before?